Welcome to the Travel Squad podcast, where adventure meets inspiration. We're your hosts. I'm Brittany.
I'm Kim.
And I'm Jamal. Together we explore international destinations, hike epic national parks, and share unforgettable travel experiences with you, one passport stamp at a time.
Our mission is to inspire you to travel by showing you how you can make it work no matter your budget, schedule, or experience level.
We bring you along so that you can laugh, get excited, and start planning your own trip.
So grab your ticket and your passport.
And don't forget your travel insurance.
And get ready to embark on a new adventure with us around the globe.
Hello, fellow travelers.
Hey, Squaddies.
Hey, Squaddies.
Welcome to this week's episode of the Travel Squad podcast. Today, we're taking you with us to London, England.
We spent 2 days in London and we hit the ground running and made the most out of our time there. This is actually our second time in London. The first time we spent 3 to 4 days, and this time was just 2 days, but we got to hit all of the major sites and do a ton of things. And so we're going to tell you how to make the most of your time while you're in London, even if it's for a quick trip.
I am so glad that we're doing another London episode. We have one that originally aired back in March of 2022. We've done it on Travel Tuesday flashbacks every now and again, and it is a very popular episode. And people love London. It's one of the iconic cities of the world. We've also gotten a lot of flack for that London episode, so we better not mispronounce anything, because that, Squaddies, just so you know, is our number one most commented and emailed on about how we pronounce the River Thames. And a bunch of other things.
It's the Thames, Kim. It's the Thames. So just make sure you get it right.
Yes.
But it's the Thames. So we do know this, although ironically enough, I was listening to something the other day and somebody did say the Thames.
It's an easy mistake to make, but I'm glad we're doing another London episode because people love London. You can go back a million times and have a completely different trip every single time. You guys packed a lot into this 2-day trip as well.
We did. So, of course, this is coming off of our Portugal trip that we had done when we went to Madeira and Lisbon. Our flights to Europe routed us through London. So we're like, well, we love London. Let's spend another couple days in London. And I'm really glad that we did. It's an enjoyable city. I love it. The one thing I dislike about London is not necessarily London in general. It's the UK. Their money is a lot more powerful than ours, so I feel like I'm really getting it hard when I'm over there, but it is an enjoyable experience nevertheless. And Kim, you weren't with us the first time we went to London, nor were you with us the second time here we went, but you have also been to London one time yourself, and you really enjoyed it when you had gone, correct?
I only did a stopover, 12 hours in London, saw what I could, but I loved it. The food was great. The pub scene was awesome. The buildings are beautiful. So I'm excited to hear more, and I'm dying to go back myself.
One comment that we often get on our podcast is you shouldn't just spend 12 hours one day, 2 days in a place. But we always say make the most out of the time that you have. Kim, you were able to punch in a lot in your 12-hour trip. In our 2 days here, we were able to hit the ground running and cover a lot of ground in London, especially since we kind of knew the lay of the land. So it doesn't matter how long you have in a place, just make the most of it and it'll be a great experience. You can always go back if you want to.
So let's start off with the tips as we always do. Language, English makes so much sense. Obviously, the namesake of English comes from England. So it makes it a great place for first-time international travelers. And I think we've mentioned that before in previous episodes. London and England is a great place to go if you haven't really ever ventured out of the country for the first time because there is no language barrier and it makes it very simple and easy.
In regards to money, their currency is the British pound. Jamal already mentioned it earlier. The dollar is weak compared to the British pound. So just keep that in mind. I know, Kim, you said next year you're only going places where the dollar is stronger. So London wouldn't be on that list. But in terms of getting around, we used our credit card the entire time. We actually did pull pounds from the ATM, but we didn't even use them.
Did you return them?
We didn't return them. Often what we'll do is we'll carry them for just in case when we go back. Or if we're going to another country, like somewhere in Asia, we may exchange those pounds for their currency and it's a stronger return rate. So we use things like that sometimes.
And we knew we weren't really going to use the pounds that we pulled. We only pulled 50 pounds, and the reason we did it was twofold. It's Europe. Sometimes you need to pay to use the restroom. We just needed some money just in case that happened to be the situation. And several times, this is unique, and I did not see this the first time we were there in, 2017, 2018? I don't remember the first time that we had gone. But they had some delicious smelling candied nuts roasting on many, many corners and food vendors doing that. And every time we passed them, it smelled so good. And we knew those vendors only took cash. Unfortunately, we didn't buy those nuts, but like we bought it just if there was going to be a one-off if we passed them again and for the bathrooms.
If you do pull money from the ATM, just make sure you're not pulling from Euronets, because Euronets are not associated with banks and they charge a very high surcharge to pull money from their ATMs. So always pull from a bank or financial institution.
In terms of getting around London is super, super easy with their mass transit, or the tube as they call it, which is their subway and metro system. Of course, they do have buses, overland trains, etc. if you happen to be going a little bit further. But in terms of utilizing their metro and the tube, one thing that we recommend doing, we did it on our first time, is getting an Oyster card. You can get it upon arrival. These are cards that you can preload with money on it for your fares as you're riding mass transit, whether it be the bus, metro, etc. They do have a daily cap on the fares, so if you use a certain dollar amount, at some point they stop charging you for the day. And even with the Oyster card, the fares happen to be reduced, not necessarily by a lot, and it really won't make a difference if you're utilizing it a lot and hit the daily max. But if you're not hitting the daily max, it's cool because it does give you reduced fares. Conversely, if you don't want to take the burden and time to get yourself an Oyster card and preload it, London is great because they're on the credit card tap system to go ahead and utilize the metro and mass transit. So as you go in, all you need to do is tap your credit card. Your credit cards also have daily caps associated with it, but of course you need to use the same credit card every time. So if you're traveling with multiple people, in this situation like me and Brittany, if we were to use our credit cards, we would each need to use our own card, tap in, tap out. That way they can recognize which fare and person it's being used for, and of course cap you as well.
And with that being said, if you have that card on your phone, you can't use it on your phone and then also your physical card at the same time. It doesn't recognize that it's the same card. So you do have to use either your phone the whole time, your watch the whole time, or the actual credit card the whole time. Another tip for you is to stay at a hotel or an Airbnb near a tube line. London has a ton of public transportation options, but if you're outside of a major tube line, that makes it so much easier to get all across the city. And there are public transit lines from the airport as well, like the Heathrow Express and the Elizabeth line. We use the Elizabeth line to get to our hotel, and our hotel had two major tube stations within, like, one was across the street and the other one was within a 4-minute walk.
Yeah, and so the Heathrow Express will be an express train to the city center of London. The Elizabeth line also gets you to the city center of London at Paddington Station. It does have less stops than the Piccadilly line, which also runs to London Heathrow. Elizabeth line is more expensive because it has less stops along the way. Piccadilly will also get you to central London, but has more stops, takes a longer time, therefore is cheaper. So just research your options of what you have, what's better for you. You could take a bus. Maybe you're not flying into London Heathrow. You're flying into one of their other 3 airports that they have in the city area. So just figure that out, but mass transit, stay near a tube line for a hotel.
London also does have Bolt and Uber available as rideshare options, but the transportation in London is so good, whether you're walking or using the tube or the bus. So we didn't use it at all, but in case you need it, it is there.
Kim, you mentioned how we got some people with comments on our London episode, and one of them was that we mentioned that London was dreary. And I'm sorry to say, London is dreary. By that, I'm talking about the weather specifically. It could be sunny, then a little bit later, actually rainy, cloudy, etc. This is just the reality of it. I'm going to say it. So pack in layers, check the weather, and bring an umbrella. You're going to need it. It rained on us while we were there. First day when we arrived. The next day, nice and sunny. So you never know what you're going to get.
When we talk about tips, we often talk about the bathroom. And I noticed this trip in particular, there was a lot of restaurants and small shops and coffee shops that didn't have bathrooms available.
A restaurant did not have a bathroom?
I went to a few coffee shops, which you would think coffee makes you pee, didn't have it. Donut shop didn't have it. I don't know if it was a true restaurant. I just mean like little small shops that do sell some cafe food type things. And then we didn't come across a ton of public bathrooms either. The only one we used was the one in Kensington Gardens. Jamal actually used it. I didn't. But it was one you have to pay for. But you could pay with card, so he was able to pay 20 pence with card.
It was only with card. They didn't even take cash. So I pulled out the cash and the one-off that we would need to use a public restroom, pointless on that. So theirs now seems to be just tap with credit card for you to use the public restrooms. And just a general tip, and I'm going to say this simply because this occurred to me and I busted my brand new luggage that we bought on our first international vacation since getting it, is when you're exiting the metro, make sure you put the luggage in front of you and not necessarily roll it behind you. Because when we were leaving Paddington Station after taking the Elizabeth line from the airport, and again, Paddington Station has metros and it's a big, big train station for further transit throughout London and UK in general. You would think they would know people are strolling through here with big luggages sometimes because they're traveling. That gate closed on me so quick that it literally grasped my luggage between the gates. And then because it came in with so much force and clasped on it, it busted my lift handle, so I couldn't push it back in, and I actually had to take it to a Samsonite shop, because it is a Samsonite luggage, for them to be able to fix it. Like literally this thing chomped my luggage and busted it on first use. So when you're pushing through with your luggage while traveling, I would say put that through first, you behind it, because if it closes you, it's not necessarily going to clamp you, it's just going to kind of shut you out, but don't let it bust your luggage, because those handles are finicky, and my new luggage is ruined pending being fixed here further.
Well, they actually do have larger lanes that you can roll your luggage or strollers through, but sometimes those are crowded or congested, so if you use the regular ones, make sure you use this tip for sure.
Squatties, all of these tips and more will be in the London itinerary, available for you to download through the link in our show notes or at shoptravelsquad.com. We built our 2-day London itinerary that replicates this exact trip, but with the tips and optimizations that we learned along the way, so that you can get the most out of your 2 days there.
I'm always looking for ways to show my cat how much I love her. And with Fancy Feast gems, I can pamper her whenever I want with a savory gravy on top of a gourmet mousse pâté. The pyramid shape makes serving simple, so all I have to do is peel and plate to make mealtime feel extra fancy. And with 2 entrees in every pack, it's easy to turn every day into the extraordinary. Fancy Feast gems.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? But with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers, a network of 130 million of them, in fact. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills, and did I say job title? See how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a free $250 credit for the next one. Get started at linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
Purina believes no one should have to make the impossible choice between their own safety and their pets. But nearly half of domestic abuse survivors delay leaving because they can't bring their pets with them. Through the Purple Leash Project, Purina is helping create more pet-friendly domestic violence shelters so survivors and their pets can escape and heal together. Visit purina.com/purple to learn more.
So we flew into London on a Sunday, and we flew in from Lisbon, Portugal. So if you haven't listened to our Portugal episodes on Lisbon and Madeira, make sure to go back and do so. But we were really excited to travel to London on a Sunday because we were going to be having a Sunday roast this day.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Sunday Fun Day.
Oh, well, Sunday Fun Day as well, but also a Sunday roast. So we flew into London, we flew into Heathrow, we took the Elizabeth line to central London, and then we got off at Paddington Station. We took the Circle line to Bayswater, which is where our hotel was near, and we wanted to drop our luggage off at the hotel.
Yeah, we wanted to drop the luggage off at the hotel because, of course, we don't really want to carry it around. Fortunately, by the time we checked in, it was only about a 20-minute wait before our room was available because we got there before 3 p.m., so we were able to check in early. So we just had to wait a tiny little bit, so we were able to drop off our luggage and then hit the ground running.
So we stayed at the Hyde Park International Hotel, which is right on the edge of Kensington Gardens. It's an older hotel, but it was fine. It's a mid-grade hotel. I would stay there again. It was comfortable enough. As long as you're not staying in like their just regular room, we stayed like in a room above.
Yeah, because rooms in Europe always are going to be small. So if you stay in the regular size room, you're definitely going to be a little bit more cramped. But this was a beautiful, nice area. Brittany says it was next to Kensington Gardens. If you don't know what Kensington Gardens is, it's gardens around the Kensington Palace, which is not the palace of the monarch, but members of the royal family live there. Prince William, Kate, other members of the royal family live in Kensington Palace that's within Kensington Gardens. And Kensington Gardens also touches Hyde Park, which is a very famous park in London, hence the name of our hotel, Hyde Park International. So we were only a block away from these major attractions.
We talked about the weather being dreary, and so this day it was a little drizzly. And another tip for you guys that we didn't mention is often hotels will have umbrellas to rent or use. So my umbrella actually didn't make it out of Lisbon. It broke while we were there. So I was able to borrow an umbrella from the front desk in London. So I took that with me.
I just want to say, if we harken back a couple episodes to our Madeira, where Brittany claimed I may have had a freak out on the hike when it started raining and we had to walk under the waterfall. Her umbrella broke because she walked under the waterfall that fell under the path, and it just couldn't hold the weight.
Oh, you left that out in that episode, Brittany.
No, actually, Jamal's lying. That's not what happened.
It's kind of what happened.
No, the umbrella broke because it's been used aggressively over the last few years. And finally, the spokes on it have kind of rusted due to water. And so it snapped because it was rusty. Not because it couldn't hold
because
the
of the weight of the waterfall, because it was so that contact.
It was windy, Jamal.
I just want to say we'll move on. I just want to throw that out there and a little
Cutting
bit of
this.
defense.
I'm cutting this out of the episode.
Brittany's having a freak out.
We're going to leave it. So anyway, by the time we arrived, it was close to 12 o'clock at the hotel. So yes, we were able to grab an umbrella for Brittany from our hotel that she was able to use while we were out. We knew the first thing that we wanted to go do was go to Borough Market, which is in the Mayfair area. Kim, have you ever heard of Borough Market?
I have not.
Borough Market has literally been around for hundreds of years, maybe even thousands of years in this area. They've always just had a market. And of course, as time has evolved, it has become a lot more sophisticated, known for selling really craft food, such as mushroom risottos, paellas. You could get really high-end sandwiches, all sorts of different things out there. And it's famous for the chocolate-covered strawberries that are like viral right now on TikTok and Instagram. So point being, we wanted to go there, one, for the history, but two, for the food. This is one of the best places in London to go ahead and get food. So it is very close to London Bridge. So we took the metro over there, walked across London Bridge, and then made our way to Borough Market.
Yeah, the first thing that we got were the chocolate-covered strawberries, and they were so good. They have a huge line. They have this whole production system where the line moves super fast, and you can go in and grab your chocolate-covered strawberries. We ate those first. They hit the spot. And then Jamal and I were debating what other things we were going to get. Top contenders were a seafood paella or a mushroom risotto, but we ended up not getting either of those. We ended up getting a mac and cheese, which also had a side of cheesy potatoes. And this was so good. It really hit the spot because it was kind of cool and chilly that day. And the mac and cheese and the cheesy potatoes were nice and warm and filling. I would recommend
Very
that.
interesting combination.
Well, it wasn't a combination of both because you could get them separately, or they sold it as a combo and they did it like as a half-half so that you can actually taste it. Ironically enough, the potatoes and cheese that they actually had, I thought was better than their mac and cheese. And we were originally going to get the mushroom risotto. We just decided not to because they actually give out samples of it, and they only give you samples of the risotto itself. They have the mushrooms cooking right by the side, but they don't let you taste that. So I'm sure with the mushrooms on top, it would have been better. But when Brittany and I both just tasted the risotto samples that they were given, we're like, well, this isn't really that great. Now, yes, again, with the mushrooms on top and the truffle that they would put on top, I'm sure it would have enhanced the flavor. But we weren't too impressed to be like, all right, yeah, let's try this after having that sample. So point being, the mac and cheese was good, but the potatoes and cheese that they sold was better. One thing that I did not mention too, that's also a really famous staple here, is the creme brulee donut.
Ooh.
It's really, really famous. We did not get that also because when we were in Lisbon, we were at one of the markets they have there, and they had a creme brulee donut, and like I don't even know how it could have been any better. Now, I know everybody talks about these ones. I'm not saying don't get it, but we were like 3 days past having an amazing creme brulee donut experience. And I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to top that. Let's save our calories for something else. So that's what we did.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of different vendors to go to in Borough Market. It's definitely a must stop if you are in the area. Highly recommend going and bringing your appetite.
This place is crowded, so just beware, like really crowded, your shoulder to shoulder, sometimes pushing your way through. And this is a good spot to go on a rainy day because the market area, or the majority of it, is actually covered. So you're only exposed to the elements getting there, but once you're there, you are covered.
From here, we decided to walk to Tower Bridge. So Tower Bridge is London's most beloved bridge. It is instantly recognizable. It has the twin Gothic style towers. It's the blue suspension bridge. People often think that this is London Bridge, but it's not. London Bridge is quite boring in comparison to Tower Bridge. Tower Bridge is the beautiful one. It's been completed since 1894, and it still functions as a bridge that allows ships to pass underneath it as well.
Yeah, so it functions as a drawbridge, so to speak, for all the boats that are sailing across the Thames. But this is an instant landmark that everybody knows. If you don't know what it is, just Google it, and I assure you, you've seen it before. So all we did was just, of course, this day, want to see the highlights, being tourists for the day, seeing things that we had seen before, but still always fun. So we walked over to here, we took our photos, enjoyed our time, walked across the bridge. They actually have an exhibition and tour that you could take within the bridge, within the towers, but we didn't actually do that. So that's something on our next time that we go to London that we may entertain doing.
When I was doing research for London, one thing that kept popping up was to get the best view of the bridge, go down the Horsley Down steps. So Jamal and I did do that, and we did go down, but the lighting actually wasn't that great. So even though that kept popping up, I wouldn't recommend that tip.
Hey Squatties, well, I'm going to give you a little tip to save some money, at least on their flights over there, and that is Thrifty Traveler Premium. We've been using this service for quite a while, and what it is basically is a flight alert service, and they have hotels in there now as well. When a flight or hotel goes on sale and it's a really, really good deal, you'll get a direct email letting you know about it. You can customize your features for what areas you want to get alerts on, and it can save you a ton of money. And we have a discount code for you, $20 off your first year subscription using our code TSP. You'll get $20 off your first year subscription at thriftytraveler.com/premium.
Abercrombie Kids knows how to make outfitting easy. Mix and match sets are their ultimate outfit hack for fall. Their sweatshirts and sweatpants are super cozy, and they always have the cutest colors and patterns. Shop fall's easiest outfit at Abercrombie Kids in the app, online, and in stores.
Every story you love, every invention that moves you, every idea you wished was yours, all began as nothing. Just a blank page with a blinking cursor, asking a simple question. What do you see? Great ideas start on Mac. Find out more on apple.com/Mac.
Every Who down in Who Newville liked the holidays a ton. But where to get great prices on gifts, they had no idea. None. They searched and they searched for great gifts under $25. Gifts for spouses and friends and even their toddlers. When suddenly one Who shouted, Walmart has what you want, knowing they have Lego, Tree Hut, and low prices to flaunt. So they enjoy the holiday season as Who's often do. Cheering and shouting, Walmart has incredible gifts. Who knew? Find gifts they'll love under $25 at Walmart.
So after we walked across Tower Bridge, we walked to the Tower of London. The first time that we were in London, we actually did the tour of Tower of London, and I would highly recommend doing it. You could spend a few hours there. It is such an amazing tour. It's worth the money to do it. Tower of London has over 1,000 years of history. It's one of Britain's most fascinating and storied landmarks, and it served as a royal palace, a fortress, a prison, and even a zoo at one point.
Yeah, the tour is really fascinating. So again, we didn't do it this time, but I just want to say, Brittany had mentioned when we had finished walking across Tower Bridge, we went here. Tower of London is immediately across from Tower Bridge, so there's not too much walking for you. It's literally right there. But when we did this tour the first time, and again, if we had more time, we would have done it again because that's how much we actually enjoyed it. You can actually see the royal family's crowned jewels. They are held here in Tower of London. It serves as a museum. It's the famous site of the execution of the Queen Anne Boleyn, who was a wife of King Henry VIII at one time. And then also something interesting that we learned, I forget which king it was, but again, we learned this the first time when we did the tour. He had passed away. He had 2 heirs. His brother, by that, the king's brother, wanted to be king. So in order to do that, he killed his nephews. They never knew what happened to them. That guy ended up becoming king. And when they did an excavation of this, they found 2 bodies that fit the size of those royal princes who should have been king buried within the walls, and they're pretty confident that it's them. So, I mean, this is the type of storied history that you get within the Tower of London, and I thought it was just really unique and cool. And again, I wish we had more time to do it, but still fun and fascinating just to walk by.
Yeah, this was built by William the Conqueror in the 11th century, so it's very old. You can also explore the White Tower's armory, and you might even see a few beef eaters on the grounds as well.
Do you know what beef eaters are, Kim?
I do. I learned this in our last episode.
Yeah, so if you squatties don't know, they are the guards that wear the specific uniforms, not the famous ones that you see with the large hats that are like stone-faced and don't make any expression. These are other ones. They carry almost like stick and scepters and different style hats, puffy pants. So really unique and cool to see. And these beef eaters are the guards of the Tower of London.
If you're trying to see them, is there a particular time of day that is more likely?
I don't believe so. I believe they're just stationed there and you can actually see them at any time. It's not like when they have the changing of the guard ceremony that's close to Buckingham or anything like that. They're pretty much always on premise, so you can see them if you're looking.
The first time we went, we saw them outside of the area they kept the crown jewels. So they might still be in that area, but since we didn't go in this time, we didn't see them this time around. But from Tower of London, we took the tube from there to Westminster Station to see Big Ben.
Everybody knows what Big Ben is. A lot of people actually think it's the tower and the clock that sits right by the Parliament building. It is not. Big Ben is actually the name of the bell within the clock, but everybody just calls that tower Big Ben. But it's one of the most iconic landmarks of all of London and a symbol of British identity. So everybody knows this. You have to go and see it. The first time that we were there, I remember we just got out of Westminster Station and boom, it's right there. I was just so surprised. Like you walk out the tube line and it's right there. The first time though, they were doing construction and restoration on it. So a lot of the tower was blocked off. This time, not so much. So I was actually excited to see it for the first time unobstructed, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, you get the views right as you come out of the station. And then if you turn around, you can actually have really nice views of the London Eye across the river. The London Eye is 443 feet tall above the River Thames. And again, we didn't ride it this time. We rode it the first time we were in London. And this day was rainy, so it wouldn't have been a good day to ride it anyways. But on a nice day, you can get really great panoramic views of the city below.
My biggest beef with London is that they closed the London Eye down at 6 p.m. And the one time that I went, my flight got delayed and I just missed it.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's unfortunate because from the London Eye, I mean, you can see so many things. Again, it's 443 feet high, so you can see Big Ben, of course, because it's not too far away from there. St. Paul's Cathedral, Buckingham Palace, pretty much everywhere within London you can actually see, and the amazing modern skyline that they have as well. So kind of silly that they close it early because I think it would be beautiful, really lit up at night, almost like Vegas. Not that London has those type of lights. I mean, it does. Of course, it's a city, but nevertheless, yeah, you would think it should be open during that time, or at least a little bit later.
And right across the street from the Parliament building and Big Ben is the Westminster Abbey. So we crossed the street to get views on that. It was Sunday, so they were closed to the public that day, but Westminster Abbey has hosted every coronation since William the Conqueror in 1066.
Yeah, and it's the final resting place of countless monarchs, poets, statesmen of the British Empire. And so this is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It has that classic Gothic architecture with it, stained glass windows, ornate chapels, etc. So really, really popular landmark. Again, any day but Sunday, you can really go in here, and it's open to the public to go in and see. Really cool. Since we were here on a Sunday, at least when we were in this vicinity, we did not go in, but worth doing when you guys come to London.
So from here, we took the tube to St. James Park, and St. James Park is London's oldest royal park, and it's one of the most picturesque. It's framed by Buckingham Palace, the Horse Guards Parade, and the Mall, and it has really nice flower beds. You can actually see the London Eye from some parts of the park. I was on a bridge, and you could see a beautiful lookout to it. There's lakes there, which are home to pelicans and other types of birds and waterfowl. So it's worth walking through, and it'll lead you right up to Buckingham Palace.
Hold on before we continue. Yeah, and St. James Park, of course, is a public park now, but at one point in time, it was a royal hunting grounds. So it was transformed by King Henry VIII into a deer park in 1532. We'll leave that. I take that out. I don't even want to go into that detail.
Okay, then go into Buckingham Palace.
And then from there, we walked to Buckingham Palace. Of course, Buckingham Palace is the official London residence of the British monarch and one of the most recognizable royal landmarks anywhere in the world. And so it has its grand neoclassic facade, and the palace serves as a beautiful backdrop for iconic state events and ceremonies, including the changing of the guard. So we talked a little bit about the change of the guard earlier when we mentioned the Beefeaters. Here is the vicinity in which you can actually see it. So the first time that Brittany and I were in London, we actually did a tour of Buckingham Palace. They don't do regular tours. They only do it when the Queen, and the case of in which we went and did the tour, was away. Now that King Charles is king, I don't know what their rules are.
They still have summer tours.
They still have summer tours
of the staterooms.
Okay.
Yes.
When he's away, or even when he's in the palace?
I don't know for sure, but I looked up the schedule this year, and the last day of the tours were the day that we were there. So that was like the last day of the season. So they are still doing tours of the staterooms during the summer months, and you can find the schedule online.
Yeah, so be sure to check that out, because it used to be that they only opened it when the Queen was away. But like I said, not too sure of the new rules now that it's King Charles, let alone if those current rules are now going to be the official rules moving forward, or just still, because it's so recent since she passed, a transition till they figure it out.
How cool would that be to see a royal in real life on your trip to London?
I think it would be really cool, although I would wager to say that days of the tours he would be nowhere near where it's open to the
Well, not
public.
even for a tour. If there was some type of event going on, that would be so cool.
I think that would be really cool. And, we're going to get to it a little bit later when we talk about going to Kensington Gardens. But I mentioned that's where they have Kensington Palace. Some of the royals still live there, such as Prince William, Princess Kate, and other high-ranking members of the royal family. So you can possibly see them there. Sometimes they'll come out to the balcony and do their little waves from Kensington Palace, but they weren't doing that while we were there. So we missed the royal, or so to speak, to see them.
So at the beginning of the episode, I talked about us flying in on a Sunday and participating in our first Sunday roast. So I made reservations for a place called Cadogan Arms, and it came highly recommended. And if you harken back to our Lisbon and Madeira episodes, we were on this trip with another couple, Garrett and Melissa. Garrett and Melissa actually arrived in London the day before we did, so we didn't actually see them until our dinner reservation on Sunday, because they had other plans in the morning, and since our flight was getting in, midday, they wanted to get their morning started and moving. But Sunday roast, and Melissa was really excited about this, is a quintessential British dining experience. So usually it's served in pubs or restaurants across London, and it usually features like a slow cooked meat like beef or lamb or chicken, usually served with roast potatoes or vegetables, Yorkshire pudding, gravies, things like that.
And the Sunday roast, honestly, when we were planning this trip, and Brittany mentioned how Melissa really wanted to do it, Brittany wanted to do it too, I had never actually heard of it in terms of it being an actual thing. I was like, well, what is this? And we'll get into what we actually had now and how it is in modern day London. But its origin traces all the way back to medieval England, when they would have just big meals and feasts after Sunday church. So now that's just became a tradition and a thing. We have big meals on Sunday, and that's when they went all out, and they still go all out to this very day, having meals in restaurants, pubs, and of course people cooking it in home. But it's very popular to find the good restaurants and go get your Sunday roast out in public in a pub or a restaurant.
We ended up getting the share board, which was a mix of meats. We got rump of beef, shoulder of lamb, kind of like a prime rib cut. We also had some butter glazed vegetables, roast potatoes, Yorkshire pudding, and then we had a few different gravies. Like we had a bone marrow gravy, and we had a horseradish cream in a mint and herb sauce. And then at the very end, we topped it all off with sticky toffee pudding.
This was delicious. I mean, if you are a meat eater, it was fantastic. The accompaniments on it were absolutely delicious too. The vegetables, the potatoes, everything from even their condiments of the gravy, horseradish, etc. So good. Unfortunately, when we got there, they said that they were out of the pork belly, so we did not get any of the pork belly on the plate. That should have come, but they gave us more meat cuts of all the different other varieties. So we did get that. But if you go to London and do a Sunday roast, of course, do your research, find a place that you would prefer to go. But we really highly recommend Cardigan Arms.
I know when I was in London, I had one dish that I've been thinking about in the years ever since, and it's the typical bangers and mash, delicious sausage, mashed potatoes, gravy, microgreens. It was like the most flavorful and delicious thing I've ever eaten.
You know, the thing about 2 days in London is there's not enough time to eat all the good things like sticky toffee pudding, bangers and mash, fish and chips, shepherd's pie. A lot of people think that English food is quite boring or bland, but they do got some good staples.
They do got some good staples. It's known to historically to be boring and bland, but as time has gone on, they really do have a good cuisine. And I really do love the food here in London of all the different types that you get. The traditional, authentic, from the pubs to the markets, and even the infusion of different cuisines that you get from all sorts of immigrant populations that they have there as well. London has an amazing food scene right now.
Hey Squaddies, quick reminder, if you're looking for any of the information that we've shared in this episode, you can go to travelsquadpodcast.com/episodes. We have a page for every single episode we've ever aired with links to everything we've talked about. On there, you can also find a link to our Amazon storefront where we mention our travel umbrellas and everything else that we recommend bringing on the trips that we talk about. And then, of course, you can access our itineraries, guides, templates, everything there.
What does 268 horsepower sound like? You're hearing it right now. The all-new Audi A5, precision crafted to bring the thrill to every turn. This is powerful performance. The all-new Audi A5.
What are your holiday traditions? Putting up a minimum of 6 trees? Decorating every room with a different theme? Whatever it is, here's one way to make those traditions extra special. Start the season with Etsy. On Etsy, you'll discover original pieces from small shops to help you celebrate your way. Shop Etsy for holiday decor that makes you feel seen. Special starts on Etsy. Tap the banner to shop now.
Big news! Sephora is now on Uber Eats. So if you find yourself facing a beauty emergency, like needing a last-minute gift, or you're just out of your favorite mascara, again, don't panic. We got you. Order now and get $10 off on Sephora orders of $50 or more on the Uber Eats app. Order now. Offer ends October 30th. One order per customer. Additional terms apply. See app for availability. Delivery fees may apply.
So we woke up here on a Monday, and it was going to be our last full day in London before we flew back. Now, Brittany mentioned how we met up with Garrett and Melissa, how they had gotten to London a day before us. That's because they were leaving for back home here to the U.S. a day before us as well. So today was their day that they left. So we didn't even really see them in the morning. We said goodbye to them last night, and this was a day just me and Brittany exploring and doing a few things in particular that we wanted to do other than seeing the major sites.
So if you're a little nerdy like me and you like Harry Potter, a good stop for you might be Goodwin's Court. I only did this because it was near other things that we were going to do. So we did stop in Goodwin's Court. It's kind of tucked away off in a little alley on the west end of London. And you go through this narrow cobblestone alley, and it's lined with 17th century bow-fronted windows. And so it's what inspired Diagon Alley in the Harry Potter films. But walking through it, it just feels like you're just doing a little touch of magic. And they even have a little window for Potterheads, because they have the owl, they have the door. It says, "Wizards welcome, Muggles tolerated." So it's just a little photo op that you can do and walk through.
Cute.
So from there, we walked to a donut shop. It was a luxury donut bakery called the Donatelier Leicester Square. And it had a bunch of different really cool, amazing looking donuts. So we stopped in here to get one.
We ended up getting a pistachio donut. It was good. I enjoyed it. I love craft specialty donuts. I know we were talking about how we didn't end up getting the famous creme brulee one from Borough Market, but it's the morning now. We wanted something kind of sweet to start the day. I enjoyed it. If you're in the area, I would say come here. If you're not in the area, I don't know if it's worth coming out of the way, but we were doing other things in the area just as well, so it made sense for us. So good, but I wouldn't say go out of your way.
And then we needed to grab some coffee, of course, because we hadn't had some coffee yet. So we went to a place called Attendant Coffee Roasters, and it's housed in a converted Victorian era public restroom. So I know that sounds weird, but you go down these stairs, and it used to be a public restroom with likely urinals and things like that. And it still has some of that in there. Like you can still see where the water comes down through the tubing and whatnot, but they've upgraded it and restored the space. And now they serve coffee, pastries, and breakfast items.
What a wonderful coffee shop for you.
I know, right? Like Brittany's like, I really want to go here. Apparently it's really unique and famous. And when she says you go downstairs, imagine like you're going downstairs from the surface, like you're going down to the tube. It's almost like that. And you go down and there just happens to be historically there a restroom, now a coffee shop. So if you want to sit at the bar, do you know where you're sitting, Kim? You're sitting at urinals that have been converted with a bar top for you to actually sit. So there's 6 urinals side by side, and they go all the way to the ground. And then they just put a slab across to make it actually a table. You have your seats. So each seat that you're sitting at happens to be tucked into the urinal. I know it sounds gross. Obviously, it's clean and pristine now, and it just fits the theme and motif. But pretty good coffee down here. If you're in the area, worth checking out. It is a cool photo op.
And then from here, we decided to go to the Natural History Museum. We had 11 a.m. tickets. So the Natural History Museum is free to visit, but there's also an option to reserve tickets online for a certain time slot. Otherwise, they do have a general line that you can stand in, and then they'll let people in as people filter through. So you don't know how long you'll wait in line if you just wait in the general line. But if you get a timed entry slot, then you go through an expedited line there.
And I would definitely recommend doing it. Of course, you want to keep your day as free as possible, so to speak, for just those kind of one-offs or changes or pivots. But it'd be worth it to do this because I've seen stuff online where just the standby line takes forever to get through during peak season because, of course, they are trying to limit how crowded it is inside. So you could spend a lot of time in the standby queue if you don't have those reservations.
And how was it when you were there?
I loved it. I mean, it's in a really cool building. And so obviously, I mean, that could mean something or nothing to somebody, right? But I appreciate like classic architecture. It just has that sophisticated museum look and building when you walk inside and on the outside. So when you first enter, I mean, again, you have the hanging whale skeleton, but then you have a giraffe, you have dinosaur bones, you have this big foyer and these grand stairs. And then, of course, then you have separate wings with different exhibits. They have one exhibit on the bottom level that's dedicated specifically to mammals. Then they have another wing that's specific to dinosaurs. So even though you see some dinosaur skeletons in the lobby, you have the specific wing and you see all these sorts of different types. And so one of the best museums I've been into, of course, for natural history. You have to like that stuff, but I found it to be very interesting and very fun to do.
Yeah, they have sections for gemstones, birds, space, volcanoes. So they have a whole bunch of different sections. We spent about 2 hours here because we were on a time crunch, but you can easily spend half a day here. You can go back multiple times and not even see it all. So definitely recommend going. It was crowded, but it wasn't unbearable. And then Kim, the line outside, you can see people waiting, but it seemed like the queue was moving relatively well that day.
And Brittany mentioned we were on a time crunch for 2 things. We were out and about early in the day, as you can see, doing the things that we were doing. But we had afternoon tea reservations at the famous Claridge's. But before our tea reservation, we needed to go back to our hotel room because I needed to get my luggage to take it to Samsonite for them to attempt to fix it. So we ran from the Natural History Museum back to our hotel, brought my luggage over to Samsonite for them to fix. They were able to fix the bend in the handle to be able to push it down, but they were like, this involves a little bit more work. I know you're flying tomorrow, so we weren't able to get it done. Don't pull up the handle, but at least you could fly with it pushed down. So that was pretty good on that front. But I mean, the highlight of this day for me, and I know, Kim, you love an afternoon tea, was going to afternoon tea at Claridge's.
And I saw that you went there, and I'm just shocked that you went back. I know you loved it, but there's so many afternoon teas to choose from in London. And you've already been to this one.
We have been to this one, but it is that good, Kim. And I know you're like very particular that you want your afternoon tea served on a 3-tier plate and all of that. And I looked at other ones. Like, I love Fortnum and Mason teas, and I looked at their menu, and we saw that the Ritz-Carlton has an afternoon tea, and I looked at that menu, but we kept getting drawn back to Claridge's, and we're like, you know what, we know what we like, and so why mess that up? We're gonna go back to Claridge's.
So we really did enjoy it. Everybody knows afternoon tea is a classic British staple. Claridge's is a quintessential British experience, and lots of people have had their afternoon tea here. Most notably, Princess Diana always liked to come here and have her afternoon tea, Winston Churchill, and this became a really popular area too for even royalty to come have it. I mean, I know I mentioned Princess Diana, but other royal family members would come here and have their afternoon tea.
The tea room is such a beautiful room. There's this huge chandelier hanging down. It's in a Art Deco inspired tea room in the hotel, and the experience is just, it's top notch. So of course you go in and you can see the list of the loose leaf teas, but for every single course, they recommend that you switch out your tea. And so they'll actually provide you with different recommendations on, okay, you're having your scones, you should get this tea, or you're having your sandwich, you should get this tea. You don't have to stick to those, but they are recommended. And so we did stick to what they had recommended.
Yeah, and why I really like Claridge's over other afternoon teas that we've done, and again, we haven't done any other one in London, but for that very reason that Brittany just mentioned, I can choose however many different teas I want, and I don't even need to pair it with anything if I don't want to. If I want to have a glass of tea of every single tea that they actually have on hand, I can do that. If I really like the scone and their clotted cream, give me another. Give me another. It's unlimited. Their sandwiches, unlimited. All of them so good. They give you 5 different varieties of sandwiches. Let's say you want your seconds and you don't want one or the other, then you could tell them, give me this, give me that. Our waitress was so nice. She was like, do you want more sandwiches? Like, oh, we really can't. We're too full right now. Here, let me pack you some to go. Ooh. And she even packed us some to go. So you get exceptional service when you're here. Like, Claridge's is a staple name in London, in Mayfair area where this is actually located. And so they really do treat you right. I mean, they checked our jacket, which, okay, whatever. Lots of places have coat checks. But when I asked them where to go get it, when we were done, the person just took the ticket from me. Was like, stay here. And they went to go get it. And it's like, they don't want you to do any of the work, and they treat you really well. So for all those reasons, we felt like, let's just come back to Claridge's, and we really enjoyed our experience.
And about how much per person did it cost?
It's £95 a person. So yeah, we started with the finger sandwiches, then we moved on to the scones, then we went back for more finger sandwiches, and then we ended with the pastries.
Well, you forgot she brought more scones too. She asked, do we want more scones? So we ended up getting more scones.
We did get more scones.
Were they just regular scones, any kind of flavor?
There was 2 different types. One was a regular and one was one with raisins in it. They were both really good. and they were served with clotted cream and jam.
Was there any champagne involved?
If you wanted to, they do have an afternoon tea with champagne options as well.
We did not go with the champagne option, but
Big mistake.
Is there for you. Big mistake.
But yeah, like Jamal said, just impeccable service in the tea room, outside of the tea room, getting your jackets, even the restrooms. It is in part of the hotel, but there was like 3 attendants in the bathroom. And so right when you walk out of your stall, they start the water for you. And then they hand you a towel, not a paper towel, but a real towel to dry off your hands. So they have top-notch service at Claridge's.
So I bet after eating all of that, I know I'm always stuffed after an afternoon tea. Did you walk it off?
Yes, we walked it off. First, we had to go pick up Jamal's luggage and take it back to the hotel. But we mentioned earlier that we were staying across the street from Kensington Gardens. So we did decide to stroll through Kensington Gardens and walk off that afternoon tea.
Yeah, and so the gardens are home to the Albert Memorial, the Serpentine Galleries, Italian Gardens. There's even a famous Peter Pan statue of Queen Victoria, which, okay, some of these things may be of interest to people. But like I said, really the main thing about the Kensington Gardens is that there's Kensington Palace right within the gardens. They have a Princess Diana memorial there, which of course lots of people do love that. And then they have a beautiful lake with swans and other type of ducks and birds. And I know it's just be like, okay, well, whatever, swans, birds. But in that setting in London with the palace in the background just right there, it just creates this beautiful ambiance. So strolling through Kensington Gardens is definitely something that is a must. And actually, Kensington Palace is open for tours too. We didn't do that. I think Kensington Palace is open for tours every day, but we just did not do that, nor by the time we got to the gardens in the day were they still open. So that is an option for you to do if you wanted to.
In Kensington Gardens, my favorite areas were the Princess Diana's Sunken Garden and the Italian Gardens. The Italian Gardens were really beautiful. Kensington Gardens also touch Hyde Park. So they are separate, and Hyde Park is 350 acres. It is a very, very big park. This is actually one of the hunting grounds of a king previously before it was turned into a public park.
Yeah, so this is just a nice park with open green space. Again, classic London. People know Hyde Park. So if you're looking for a place to go, just kind of calm down, unwind, get some beautiful nature within the hustle and bustle of the city, really recommend it. Especially if you're in Kensington Gardens, there's no reason to just cut over since they touch and get yourself into Hyde Park. But by the time we were done walking in the parks and everything else that we did, we needed to get back to our hotel to start packing because we had our flight the next day. We did go to a local pub that was right by our hotel to get some fish and chips. Of course, fish and chips, classic London staple. So we did do that. But otherwise, that's all that we did in this 48 hours that we had within London. We packed in a lot. We're really tourists, just seeing the main sites, doing a few things that we wanted to do, which was tea, take leisure at the museum. But otherwise, a really good time here.
Well, I'm glad you got to stop over and see a little more of London than you did on your first trip.
Yeah, and I just want to mention lastly is one of the reasons why we stopped over in London was because we wanted to get to Portugal, of course. But from LAX to London, it only cost 30,000 points round trip per person to do it, which I feel like is a great value. So that is what made our decision to do the stopover in London.
That's awesome. You know, London has a lot of direct flights into U.S. cities, so it's a really great hub to go through. The time that I did that 12-hour stopover, that was the same reason. It was just cheaper to go through London than it was to come back from Athens, Greece. So, squaddies, there you go. If you're doing a little stopover, you have a couple episodes that can help you fill that time. Thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode. Keep the adventures going with us on all the socials at Travel Squad Podcast and tag us in where you're going.
If you found the information in this episode to be useful, or if you thought we were just plain funny, please be sure to share it with a friend that would enjoy it too. And as always, please subscribe, rate and review our podcast, and tune in every Travel Tuesday and Fridays for new episodes.
And squaddies, sign up for our newsletter to stay up to date on everything happening with the podcast and hear about our latest tips, advice, and amazing adventures we have in store for you.
Bye, squaddies.